Okay, brain video number 2. All right, so we are going to move on and kind of look at this region. We have a model that includes just this region here on the brain. So that is this right here. All right, so I'm going to take this model, put it to the side, and let's start here. So remember that little hidden lobe is referred to as the insula. So these right here are the insula, okay? Then right down here, these are those cerebral peduncles that I was kind of trying to point at, but you can't really see it well from the entire brain model. There are your cerebral peduncles. And then this is your corpora quadrigemina. I just like to say corpora quadrigemina, but you can also call it the tectal plate. But remember that it has specific parts to it, including this here, which is going to be the superior colliculi. Colliculus would be singular, but these are your superior colliculi, and here are your inferior colliculi. So one of my favorite things to say is the superior and inferior colliculi of the corpora quadrigemina. All right, and then we get down here, you can better see that little infundibulum, and then there's that pituitary gland on this model, and like I said, there's your cerebral peduncles, here is the pons, and then your medulla oblongata. Okay, so that's that model. We also have another model to look at that represents all of the ventricles. So before I move on to that model, I wanted to point out here on this brain, this little purple thing right here that's showing right above the pineal gland, this purple thing is what's called the choroid plexus. And the choroid plexus is going to be secreting cerebrospinal fluid that we'll talk about in lecture into all of the ventricles. And so remember, this space up in here is one of the lateral ventricles, your third, your cerebral aqueduct, and then your fourth ventricle. So this model kind of looks like a little bit of a dolphin, you know. This is the model that represents all of the ventricles. These two things right here are your lateral ventricles, okay? Then you have right here what's called the interventricular foramen that lead here into the third ventricle. And then this right here, if I turn this around, we look from this third ventricle, we go down cerebral aqueduct into this part right here that represents the fourth ventricle. So there's our fourth ventricle right in here. Now, if you notice, there's most of it's gray, but you also have all this pink, which is, you know, my least favorite color. But this pink stuff right here all represents choroid plexus. So you've got choroid plexus in the lateral ventricles. You've got choroid plexus in the third ventricle, if you can see that right there. And then here in the fourth ventricle as well, you have this pink representing choroid plexus. So that is your ventricles model, which also includes the choroid plexus.